Namaste to all my viewers, and I would like to wish all of my viewers a very happy Ugadi. It's also called as the New Year in the Hindu calendar. It's celebrated as Ugadi in Karnataka, in the states of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. It is celebrated, this New Year is also celebrated as Gudi Padwa in Maharashtra. It is celebrated as a Baishakhi in Punjab and as Boishakhi in West Bengal. Also, you would see when the sun is going to transit into Aries, that's when in Kerala, the state of India, during this time we celebrate the festival of New Year called as Vishu. Okay, so this is also the beginning of Chaitra Mas Navratri. It is also called as a Ram Navratri. So, wishing everybody a very happy New Year. Shubh Nav Samvatsar 2078. Okay, so wishing everybody a very happy New Year. So, let's look at some of the rituals of Ugadi, and I will also talk about in this video about the practice of Pradakshina or Parikrama, because this is one topic that not many people discuss about, and I want to discuss this in detail. So let's talk about the rituals of Ugadi and let's see what is Ugadi. The word Yug in Sanskrit means something to unite, something to yoke, something to unify. Okay, and Yug also means, it's the age of this world. So usually we divide the entirety of the universe into four yugas, and so this age and yuga, adi means the beginning. So the word Ugadi is coming from two words, yug also, as I said, to join, to unite, to yoke with something. That's what the Sanskrit translation means. But it is also coming from Adi, which means the beginning. So this is a celebration. Yugadi is celebrated as the beginning of the new year because it is believed, according to the rituals, that this was the time when Lord Brahma started creating the universe. So this is a very significant beginning for many of them. And according to Hindu mythology, this ritual is also celebrated in every household. And most of the people, they get up early in the morning, they have a shower in the morning. Before showering up, they massage their whole body with sesame oil and then have a nice shower. And then they begin by wearing traditional and new clothes. This is the ritual. Also, the same day, in many households, they bring the idols of the gods in their puja room, and then they wash the gods, bathe them in oil, and also offer prayers with offering, flowers, mango, and tamarind. This is usually the practice of the ritual. Also, you see in many households during Ugadi, many people will decorate them with colorful and intricate designs, and they also put what we call as a rangoli. Now, rangoli is got multiple benefits of putting a rangoli, but rangoli has to be always used with freshly ground rice flour, wheat flour, or also, you can do rangoli with different cereals in the powdered form of cereals. Now, the reason why rangoli is always put outside is also it has got two ways of also attracting prosperity into your life, also bringing in the divine grace. And because it's made of cereals, they become food for the birds like the sparrow, the pigeon, they all come and they start having the food which is there at the out, and bringing in this energy back home, because when birds come flying and they nestle and they start feeding, it brings a lot of blessings. So there are special blessings which come through putting the rangoli. Also, on this day, it has been customary in many households to read the Panchangam. Panchangam means it is the Hindu ephemeris, or it's the Hindu calendar, and it's usually the eldest of the family usually reads out the Panchangam on the day he talks about, because that's very special when the householder reads the Panchangam for everybody to hear. Okay, so it's the Hindu calendar, and that specific day, we say what is that day, what nakshatra is operating, what tithi it is, and we start with even worshipping the Panchangam, because it is the start of a new year. Also, in many states, it's also customary to have neem leaves ground with jaggery and tamarind, because it is said also called as a bevu bella, or in some households they also use green chilies with some salt and some unripened mangoes, which we call as pachadi. So Ugadi pachadi is usually made from unripened mango with the red chili powder or green chilies, and salt is added, and this is served to people. Also with neem leaves and with jaggery is also served. So this is how you would probably celebrate. Also, this day is known to be honoring the patron deity of Ugadi is Lord Brahma. Even though there is no worship for Lord Brahma, we worship the Yuga Purusha. Yuga Purusha is Vishnu. So Vishnu's worship is popularly followed on this day. And it, as I said, as the mythology goes, it says that according to popular beliefs, Ugadi was an age old association, and this legend is Lord Brahma began the creation of the universe. And after he started creating the universe, he went on to create the days, the weeks, the months, the year, and because of which we worship the Panchangam, because everything is there in the Hindu ephemeris. So, this is the day, the first day of the creation of the universe. Now, when we talk about creation, we also need to know the, the background of the system of how creation has happened. And if you know, creation has happened from nothingness. And nothingness, in today's time, there is a digit associated with nothingness, what we call as the numerical number zero, what is called as shunya. Now, zero, as all we know, that was a gift which was given by the Indians to the world, because there was nothing called a zero, because you start from number one. Now, in the Sanatana Dharma, Shunya or zero denotes the Brahman, which means the supreme God, the creator of the universe. And from zero, the number one, comes what is called as Maya, the great illusion, meaning the universe has originated from zero or from nothingness, and Maya is the great illusion. And we know that Maya is feminine and the number one is odd. So, what I'll come back to the zero and ones, because zero and ones is what we base our entire computation system is based on the binary system of zero and ones. So, let's go to understand what is shunya. Now, this concept of nothingness, if you do not know what is nothingness and what is shunya, you will not receive or you will not come to samyama. Samyama means a state of shunya sthiti, of nothingness. And 99% of this universe is nothing but it is Shunya, which means 1% is the creation of Brahma, and the rest of the things is the the nothingness that is there in the space. So within every atom in our body, 99% of this atom is nothingness, which shows the whole universe, and the 1% is what we see is the creation. So nothingness is the source of the creation. So if you understand this principle, then you will know what is the nirguna, energy. Nirguna means not materialized energy field, which is what we call as Shiva. Because Shiva is achieved samyama, or this balance of shunya sthiti, through his meditative powers. And that's why you see Shiva walks like a beggar. He goes with a begging bowl, which is the begging bowl is made from a skull, and he goes begging. And who offers him, the alms? The alms is given in the form of a food by his consort Annapurneshwari Devi. She is the Maya. She is the number one. And Shiva is the zero, the Shunya. So you have to know it doesn't mean zero is nothingness is what he believes in. And that's the same concept on which Gautam Buddha also walked away from the palace with nothingness. So we need to understand that if you want to amplify and to add more value to the entire cosmos, then we need to be in a state of nothingness, or Shunya Sthiti, as we call it. Now, let's go to this whole concept that I'm going to talk about is the importance of Pradakshina or Parikrama or Pariyaya. Now, what is Pradakshina? Pradakshina means circumambulating. Okay, this brings me to one of the stories which has been given in many Puranas and also in Upanishads, is the story of Shiva and his two sons, Lord Ganesha and Lord Kartikeya. Now, there was this competition between Ganesha and Kartikeya of saying that who would be the quickest to travel around the world will be declared as the most suitable person, and will be said that there is this competition which was set. Now, when this competition was agreed upon by Ganesha and Kartikeya, Kartikeya quickly mounts on his peacock and jets away. But Ganesha is just sitting there and he's waiting for something. Now, Ganesha is known for his wit. So when Kartikeya has completed 2 rounds of the universe, Ganesha is still sitting there when Kartikeya goes on his final round. Ganesha quickly goes full circle of his mother and father, and just before Kartikeya arrives, he declares himself as victorious in this whole competition. Okay, so that is Pradakshina. So for Ganapati, he says, my parents are my world, my universe. So by going around Shiva and Parvati, he is completing the competition and is won over. So Pradakshina literally means keeping Dakshina. Dakshina means keeping it in the south. So one has to start this forward movement in Pradakshina, which is customary when you go to a Devalaya or to a temple, and we start circumambulating. Now, there is what is Pradakshina? Pradakshina means you always have to keep the Virata Mula, which means the deity, on the right hand side. So always the Pradakshinas or the circumambulation or is always in a clockwise manner. Okay, so there are many schools of thoughts and there are many doctrines of saying how many pradakshinas should you do when you go to a temple. And there are various schools of thought, and Agama Shastras also talk about it. I will talk about that. But before that, let's look at what is Pradakshina. Now, this word in Rig Vedic verses, pra is an adjective which means very much. Pra can also come as a prefix to this verb of moving forward or onwards towards Dakshina, which means towards the south. So when we do move towards the south, we always ensure that one has the main sanctum sanctorium where the deity is there is always on the right side. So Dakshina Charam is auspicious as per Rig Veda. In Skanda Puran, you will also see Pradakshina also means the word pra means which dispels sin. The syllable the, which means which bestows you with whatever you desire. And the syllable kshi causes destruction of the karmas, the sins that we have created. And the syllable na is bestower of salvation. So, whenever you talk about these syllables, syllable pra dispels sins, syllable da, helps you to bestows one desire. She causes destruction of the karma, and na is the bestower of moksha or salvation. So, what Skanda Puran also says, it states that whatever sins you have committed by the mind, by your thoughts, are destroyed in the first pradakshina or the first round that you take around a deity. The sins committed in speech is destroyed in your second round of your pradakshina or parikrama or pariyaya. And the sins that are perpetuated by the body are destroyed in the third pradakshina or the third round that you take. Okay, so what is the process of doing a pradakshina? Now, the process is very simple. The simplest process that is followed as per the Agama Shastras is you have to move from the left hand side and go in a very medium pace. You shouldn't be too fast. You should always keep the Garbha which means the sanctum sanctorium has to be on the right hand side, and you move in a clockwise direction. You fold both your palms in Namaskara Mudra, which means when you bring both your, and it should be posited at the level of your Anahata Chakra, which means your heart chakra. And it shouldn't be too close to your chest. You should always place it a little bit, from your subtle body, because that's where the energies are. And as you move, you should always chant the name of the deity. And once you come and you complete one full cycle, that's when you bow down in obeisance to the deity, and only then you commence the second round or the second circumbulation. So this is normally the process. Now, as I said, I talked about the number 0 and number 1, and that's why it is very, very customary. As per the thumb rule in many of the doctrines, it is said that if that the dakshina, the pradakshina for all male deities have to be even numbers, because I said 0 is the masculine actually, and number 1 is the feminine. So 0, 2, 4, 6. So for male, as per one rule, I'm not saying that all the doctrines, but as per one rule, it is said that for male deities, it is always even number of pradakshinas, and for female deities, it should be odd numbers 1, 3, 5, 7. Now, in this pradakshina, there are multiple types of pradakshinas. One type of pradakshina is called as Atma Pradakshina. Atma Pradakshina means it helps you to get rid of the black energies around you. If there are dark energies around you, by circumambulating on yourself, basically you are paying respect to the God within you. So that is what it means by saying Atma Pradakshina, where I am trying to circumambulate around myself. So usually what you do is you circumambulate 3 times before you do a complete Pradakshina to the deity. Now, in this Pradakshina, there is also called as Girivalam. Girivalam means circumambulating a hill like a deity is called as Valam. Then there is also something called as Adi Pradakshina. Adi Pradakshina means when you take short steps with your heels and you start moving from toe to toe. So it's called as Adi Pradakshina. So you're taking very short steps, one at a time, and your back of the feet should touch to the front of the other the toes of the other feet. So those are Adi Pradakshina. Then there is also called as Anga Pradakshina or Shayana Pradakshina. Now, this is usually, I've seen this practiced in many South Indian temples, and this is done usually once you have had a bath from a river or from a well with wet clothes. You walk inside the temple. After going to the temple pond or the tank, you take a dip there, or you take it from the well or from a river. And what you do is you prostrate and you roll yourself in the temple chanting the Lord's name. This is called as Anga Pradakshina. There is also Pradakshinas around trees like people tree. So typically for people tree, it is said that you have to take 7 Pradakshinas. Similarly, for the sun god, it is said to be 7 Pradakshinas. Okay. So there is also this science of Pradakshinas is based on Sankhya Shastra. Sankhya Shastra means the science of numerology. So one school of thought says this Sankhya Shastra, which is based on certain rules. You can say, for example, Lord Shri Krishna. Lord Shri Krishna was born on Ashtami Tithi. And number 8 is very much influenced in the life of Lord Shri Krishna because he was the 8th child. He was born on Ashtami Tithi, which is the 8th lunar day. Okay. And so number 8 plays a very important role in his life, and that's why 8 Pradakshinas for Lord Shri Krishna. Similarly, for Lord Sri Ram, it is number 9 because he was born on Navami Tithi, Shukla Paksha Navami. Lord Krishna was born on Krishna Paksha, which means the waning phase of the moon, and on the 8th lunar day. Similarly, for Ganapati or Ganesha, some say it is number 3 or number 4 because Ganesha was born on a Chaturthi Tithi, the 4th. Okay, it's a Rikta Tithi. So these are some of the rules that you can also follow. But as per another school of thought, they also say that you can actually decide how many pradakshinas has to be performed. The number of times a pradakshina has to be performed around each deity is different. It is based on the pradakshina is based on whether the deity is saguna. Saguna means materialized, or whether it is nirguna. Nirguna means non-materialized. Or if it is a savior, which is a taraka, or if it is a maraka, which is a destroyer form of a deity. So these are the various schools of thought. Now, typically, when you go to temples, the most popularly worshipped devatas are called as Sapta Devatas. So there are 7 deities which are very popular, and their worship is very popular when you go to a temple. So which are those deities? We have Shiva, which I said represents Shunya or 0. So that is why Shiva doesn't get a full Pradakshina because he is symbolic of being dormant, and he is the unmanifested nirguna energy. It is shunya sthiti. So usually what we say is the pradakshina for Lord Shiva is never complete, and that is why this pradakshina is called as Soma Sutra Pradakshina. This is given also as Pradosha Pradakshina, or in sometimes it's called Ardha Chandra Pradakshina. or Soma Sukta Pradakshina. Now, Pradosha Pradakshina. Pradosha means this is typically during the Shukla Paksha, the 13th lunar day, what we call as Trayodashi Titi, the 13th moon of both Shukla Paksha, which is the waxing phase of the moon, and Krishna Paksha, which is the waning phase of the moon. So the Trayodashi, typically the last 1.5 hours before the sunset. Now, if you say sunrise is 6 a.m. and sunset is 6 p.m., let us assume at the location wherever you are. And when you do Pradosh is always done between 4:30 p.m. to 6 p.m. Assuming that we are taking that the sunrise is 6 a.m. and the sunset is 6 p.m. Okay, so typically then your pradosh will come between 4:30 to 6 p.m. So this time will vary based on the sunrise and sunset time. So what is pradosh pradakshina? Okay, I will talk in more detail in another video about this sort of pradakshina. But for now, let me tell you that this is a pradakshina where the Shiva Pindi, which means the main lingam, okay, you never cross the duct of the Gomukhi, which means Gomukhi means the outlet from where the Abhishekam water, where you see in a Shiva temple, you see on the Shivlingam, drop by drop water is falling. And what happens is that water flows through a duct and it goes outside. So typically, it is said that this Ardha Pradakshina of a Shiva temple is only where you go in a particular formation and you never complete the full Pradakshina, right? So I will talk about this in a specific video where I do of showing you how to do the Ardha Pradakshina or the Soma Sutra Pradakshina or the Pradosha Pradakshina when you go to a Shiva temple where there is a Shivlingam. Okay, now the second Sapta Devata where we worship normally is Goddess Durga. And I said Durga, because she represents the Saguna energy, she manifests the Saguna energy, which is the materialistic. So she always gets one pradakshina or odd pradakshinas, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Typically one pradakshina. Now, when you go to Lord Shri Krishna, in this principle, because Krishna is said to be a Purna avatar, and he represents the three levels of Shakti in you, which is the Ichha Shakti, the desire, Kriya Shakti, your actions, and Dhyana Shakti, which is your meditative powers. That's why for Ichha Shakti, for Kriya Shakti, and for Dhyana Shakti, Krishna is given three pradakshinas at the least. Or as per Sankhya Shastra, which is the science of numerology, you can do number 8. Now, when we come to Vishnu and his avatars like Lord Sri Ram, I said Sankhya Shastra, which is as per the numerology, you do number 9 for Sri Ram, but it is very commonly believed because Sri Ram was the first avatar where he was Eka Pativrata and a proper deity who actually gave us uh, an understanding of the four ashramas of life. So, being a king who was such an idol, and he's also called as um, Kodandarama, very stable, very serious sort of an avatar, and that's why he gave us as an example, an ideal for all the four ashramas. Now, what are the four ashramas? Okay, there is Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. So he's given us all the four ashramas. That's why Lord Sri Ram gets 4 pradakshinas. Now, that is the fourth Saptadevata. The fifth Saptadevata is called as Maruti, or we also call it Lord Hanuman. Now, Hanuman is usually worshipped with his 5 faces, and that's why one who has to master the Panchatattvas, because he is an Amsha of Shiva. Shiva is also worshipped with 5 faces. So in the video that I do Next time for Soma Sutra Pradakshina, I will discuss about the 5 phases and the mantras that you can do when you go and do a Pradakshina or a Pariyaya in a Shiva temple. Now, because Hanuman is called as Maruti because of his father Marut, okay, Maruti is Vayuputra, Hanuman. So he gets mastery over the Pancha Mahabhutas or the Pancha Tattvas. So that's why usually Maruti gets 5 Pradakshinas as per this doctrine. Then amongst the sixth Saptadevata is called as Guru Dattatreya. He is the son of Rishi Atri and Anusuya Devi. And because Guru Dattatreya is an embodiment of Guru and he brings spiritual progress, and whenever we do any ritual like a marriage where you need to have the blessings of the priest, the hotar, and the Agni, that's why we do 7 Pradakshinas of Agni. So 7 is a very sacred number because you're taking a kind of a oath. You're bonded with the deity Agni. That's why it's called a Saptapadi or Sapta Shati. So it is the 7 Sat Fere. In Hindi, we call it Sat Fere. The 7 times that when you're getting married, the bride and the bridegroom have to go around the fire, circumambulating it 7 times. So Guru Dattatreya, because he is the embodiment of spiritual progress of every jiva, and because he is the one who helps you to purify all the 7 chakras, the 7 energy centers in our body, that's why he gets 7 pradakshinas. Every guru gets 7 pradakshina, like Guru Dattatreya. Similarly, amongst the trees, the people tree, which we call as Ficus religiosa, okay, or the sacred fig tree, that also gets 7 pradakshinas on a normal day. But you can change the pradakshinas based on the day of the week. I'll do that video later on when I do the Shiva Pindi Pradakshina. I will discuss that. Then amongst the Sapta Devatas, the 7th Devata, which is commonly worshipped and he's always worshipped first, is Lord Ganapati, Lord Ganesha. Because Lord Ganapati is the Lord or the overlord of all the Ganas, that's why it's called as Gana Isha, the Lord, the Isha of the Ganas. Or he is also called the master of the Ashtadikpalas, which means the Ashtavasus, okay, and the 8 directions. And that's why Lord Sri Ganapati, usually in this system of Pradakshinas I'm talking about, in the Sapta Devatas, he gets number 8. Okay, so I've given you the expression of why it is very important to keep these Pradakshinas in mind, because it is a very symbolic journey that we are treading, and to get the maximum benefit from the deity and to receive the maximum grace, I want you to focus on the number of circles or circumambulations that you do for each of the deities. Okay, I want to wish everybody again a very happy Chaitra Shuddha Padyami or Pratipada. Also wishing you a very happy new year, more power, light, love, grace, harmony, peace, wellness, miracles, and a lot of joy. So have a great day and a great year ahead. Namaste.